Welcome. Thank you for joining me. I'm Mary Hall. Let's start our practice on our backs today. And this is simply to settle into practice. So you could have your knees up or you could have your legs straight to find a position that's comfortable for you. And as you're settling in, draw your attention to your breath. Throughout practice today, I'll be guiding you different breath patterns. And this is just a way to help connect the mind to the body. So as you're settling in, feel your back sinking into your mat. Notice if you're holding tension in any spots of your body. And just let yourself relax and allow yourself to come into this moment, this time, and let everything that happened before you came here drift away, and just let those things on your to-do list take a break for now. So as you're settling in, I'd like you to consider if there's any place that you're stuck in your life. Sometimes we can fall into the trap of inertia. So just being stuck and not being able to do the things that we really want to do. So I'm going to read a poem that I wrote. It's called Infinite Loop. Thoughts swirling round and round, over and over and over. No resolution, stuck. A rising heat from spark to flame, one step forward, inertia gone, resistance to freedom, containment to release, holding to letting go, exit the infinite loop. So for today's practice, we're going to be building a little bit of heat. So holding poses a little bit longer and thinking about how this heat can be used to break this so-called activation energy. If you're a science geek, you might know that in a chemical reaction, a lot of times enzymes are added so that you can get over this activation energy or hump. So you can think about yoga as your enzyme to get you over this hump, to help build the heat, to help get out of inertia. And it could be inertia in your thoughts, maybe stuck in a thought pattern, maybe stuck in a place in your life that you'd like to move on from. So let's begin by, while you're still laying on your back, rub your hands together, pressing your hands together and rubbing fast, and feel the heat that you're generating. So now take your hands that have this warmth and heat and gently cup your hands over your eyes. And then slowly open your eyes. And then allow your hands to move away from your face. And then roll onto your side. And then come up to an all fours position. Bring your hands underneath your shoulders. Your knees will be about hip width distance apart. And we're going to be building heat by doing some poses where we'll be holding plank a little bit longer, doing a sidearm plank. So in order to make sure that we're safe in these poses, let's stretch out our wrists to begin practice. So start by moving from side to side, moving with your breath, meaning Breathing in as you move to one side, exhaling as you move to the other. Now move forward and backwards. So just reaching a little bit forward, so feeling the stretch in your wrist, and then sinking back towards child's pose. Let your neck relax. Let's do that one more time. So come forward to all fours and then lean a little bit forward to stretch your wrists, and then sink towards child's pose and come on your knees, and we'll just do a couple of wrist rolls. So one direction and then the next. So now come back to all fours, but this time move your wrists out to the side so your fingers will be radiating out to the side. So start by moving to the right first, and just to a point where you feel a stretch. Don't overdo it. And then breathing out as you move to the other side. Come back to the right. Breathe in. Left. Move out. Now we're going to, if it's accessible to you, bring our fingers pointing towards knees. So it might be that your fingers are very close to your knees depending on your wrist flexibility. So once again, pay attention and don't overstretch, but see if you can just give a slight stretch. So maybe it's just a tiny bit moving back. And we'll hold that for 3, 2, 1. And then sit back on your feet and we'll just do wrist rolls again. So come to all fours position, and now curl your toes and lift your knees about an inch off the ground. And we're going to hold this position for a couple of breaths, building the heat in our belly area. You might feel some heat building in your thighs. Bring your navel towards your spine. Draw attention to your breath. Now bring your hips high and back towards downward dog. You can have your knees quite bent. Let your neck relax, and we'll start to pedal feet. So bringing one heel towards the ground, and then the other, moving slowly and mindfully with your breath. When you're ready to take a breath in, look towards your hands, walk your feet up to your hands and come to halfway lift. Hinge at your hips to forward fold, and then press your feet into the ground to rise up. Bring your arms out to the side first and then up overhead. And we're going to be using a hand, we'll hold our hands in a certain way during this practice. So pointing your index finger and thumb up and then wrapping your other fingers around. So kind of like a Charlie's Angels pose. And then bring your hands to your heart and down to your sides. Now take a full deep breath in, arms spread wide and then up overhead. Bring your hands through heart center, hinge and fold, tense your fingers, step your right foot back into low lunge. Take a breath in as you lift your chest up slightly. Now plant your hands, step your left foot back to downward dog. Breathe in as you come to child's pose. Exhale. I did that wrong. All fours and then sink into child's pose. Getting ahead of myself. Breathe in, come to all fours. Curl your toes, bring your hips high and back to downward dog. Look to your hands, walk your feet up to your hands and come to halfway lift. Hinge and forward fold. Press into the ground to rise up, reaching, stretching, and then bring your hands together. Point your index finger up towards the sky, and then bring your hands to your heart and down to your sides. Take another breath in, reaching, extending. Hinge and fold, tense your fingers. This time step your left foot back into low lunge. Take a breath in Bring your chest up slightly. Now plant your hands, step your right foot back into downward dog. Let your neck relax. Bring your hips up towards the ceiling and then draw your heels towards the ground to find length in the back of your leg. As you breathe in, come to all fours. Got it right that time. And then sink into child's pose as you exhale. Breathe in, come to all fours. Curl your toes on your way to downward dog with your hips high and back. Look to your hands, walk your feet up to your hands to come to halfway lift. Straight, flat back, crown of your head towards the front of the room. Hinge and fold at your hips and then press into the ground to rise up. Pointer, index finger pointing to the sky. And then bring your hands to your heart and down to your sides. So press your feet into the ground to rise up. Bring your hands through your heart center, tense your fingers, step your right foot back into low lunge. Now plant your hands and step your left foot back into plank. So we're going to hold plank for a couple of breaths here. So if plank is too much, you can always go on your knees. If you're in plank, draw your heels towards the back of the room, draw your navel to your spine, and notice where your breath is. And you feel the heat start to rise, feeling heat in your belly, maybe in your arms. Now let's lower all the way to belly so your knees can come down first. Plant your feet on the top of your feet on the ground. Squeeze your sides as you lower all the way to your belly. Rest your forehead on the mat. Now press the tops of your feet into the mat. Lift your chest up slightly. Draw your shoulder blades down and back. And we'll take 2 breaths here. And then when you exhale, let your forehead rest on the mat. Now press yourself up first to all fours, then go to downward dog with your hips high and back. Now look to your hands. Walk your feet up to your hands to come to halfway lift. Hinge and fold, and then press your feet into the ground as you rise up. Clasp your fingers together, point your finger up to the sky, and then bring your hands to your heart and down to your sides. Take a deep breath in, reaching, extending, stretching tall, and then bring your hands through heart center, tense your fingers, step your left foot back into low lunge, and then plant your hands, step your right foot back into plank, and we'll hold plank again. So feeling that heat starting to build again, bring awareness to your breath. Draw your heels towards the back of the room. Now lower to your belly. Squeeze your sides with your arms as you lower all the way down. Rest your forehead on your mat. Now bring your chest up. Draw your shoulder blades back into baby cobra. And we'll hold this for 2 breaths. And then when you exhale, rest your forehead on the mat. And then press up first into all fours and then curl your toes. Bring your hips high and back to downward dog. Look to your hands as you walk your feet up to your hands. Come to halfway lift. Hinge and forward fold. And then press your feet into the earth as you rise up, reaching, extending. Bring your hands to your heart and down to your sides. Take another breath in, reaching, extending. Draw your hands through heart center, hinge and fold, tense your fingers, step your right foot back. So this time we're going into high lunge. So notice your feet and bring your feet about hip width distance apart, just so they're not in one track. So this will give you more stability. So when you're ready, press your left foot into the ground and we're going to rise up into high lunge. So you might start with your hands on your hips as you get your balance. So standing on the tippy toes of your back heel. Your front foot will be at about, your knee will be bent at about a 90-degree angle. When you're ready, draw your arms up, and we'll do that Charlie's Angels hold. And we're going to hold this for a couple of breaths, this time really feeling the heat building in the top of your left leg. So paying attention to your breath. Now bring your arms down to frame your left foot. Step your left foot back into downward dog. Pivot forward into plank. We won't hold plank as long this time. And then squeeze your sides as you lower all the way to the ground. Rest your forehead on the mat. As you take a breath in, plant the tops of your feet into the mat and come up into Cobra, so a little bit higher this time, still drawing your shoulder blades down and back, so feeling sensation now in your upper back and lower back. Lower your forehead to the ground. Press up first into all fours, then curl your toes on your way to downward dog. Look to your hands, walk your feet up to your hands to come to halfway lift. Exhale, hinge and fold. Now press your feet into the earth to rise up, reaching, extending, index finger up to the ceiling, maybe even a slight back bend this time. And then bring your hands to your heart and down to your sides. Press your feet into the earth as you rise up, reaching, extending, hinge and fold. Tense your fingers, step your left foot back. This time we're going to high lunge on the opposite side. So find your foot placement that works for you. When you're ready, press into your right foot to rise up. Get your balance. And then bring your arms up to the sky. Point your finger pointing up. Stand on the tippy toe of your left foot. And then we're going to breathe here, letting the heat come in to your right thigh. One more breath in. One more breath out. Now bring your hands down to frame your right foot. Plant your hands and then step your right foot back to downward dog. Breathe in as you come into plank and squeeze your sides with your arms as you lower all the way to your belly. Rest your forehead on the mat. Press the tops of your feet into the mat. Bring your chest up, rising to Cobra. So you could stay in Cobra, or you could lift your knees and thighs off the ground and come into upward dog. Lower all the way to your belly, rest your forehead on the mat. And then press into the earth to rise up first to all fours, and then curl your toes, bring your hips high and back to downward dog. Look to your hands, walk your feet up to your hands to come to halfway lift. Exhale, hinge and fold. Press your feet into the earth to rise up, reaching, extending. One more time. Pointer finger up to the ceiling. Slight back bend. And then bring your hands to your heart and down to your sides. Take a full deep breath in, reaching, extending. Hinge and fold. Tense your fingers. Step your left foot back, but this time ground your left foot into the earth. Now press into your right foot as you rise up. We'll start with hands on hips. Now turn your hips and chest to the left and then bring your arms out to the side for warrior two. So we're going to stay here for a couple of breaths. So first think about bringing your arms in both directions. So finding a line of energy from fingertip to fingertip. Notice where your shoulders are. If you're feeling tension in your shoulders, see if you can let that go. Now bring awareness to your right thigh. Feel the heat building there. And breathe into that heat. Pressing both your feet into the earth. Focusing on your breath. Now flip your right palm overhead and release. So feel that heat transferring throughout your body, feeling an openness along your right side. Now come back to Warrior Two just for a beat, and then frame your right foot with your hands. Step your left foot back to Downward Dog. Breathe in as you come to plank, and then lower yourself all the way to your belly. Rest your forehead on the mat. Bring your chest up. Draw your shoulder blades back either to Cobra or Upward Dog. Lower all the way down to your belly, forehead on the mat. Now press yourself up first into all fours, and then bring your hips high and back to Downward Dog. Look to your hands. Walk your feet up to your hands to come to halfway lift. Hinge and forward fold. And then press into the earth to rise up. Reaching, extending. Bring your hands to your heart and down to your sides. Well, I'm building heat here, so I'm going to throw my sweater off. So now bring your arms up, reaching, extending. Hinge and fold, tent your fingers. This time step your right foot back, ground your right foot into the mat. Press your left foot into the earth to rise up, and then draw your chest and torso to the right. So once you have your feet placed where you like them, bring your arms out to your sides and then gaze out over your left fingertips. And settle in. So once again, finding that line of energy, stretching your arms, the full length, feeling both feet pressing into the earth, and then feel the heat building in your thigh, your left thigh. And if you feel like you want to get on to the next thing, just take a moment and notice your breath. Is your breath very shallow? If so, see if you can take a deep belly breath and bring yourself back here and now. Now flip your left palm, reach overhead, reaching, extending, and then cartwheel your hands first to Warrior Two, and then frame your left foot with your hands, step your left foot back to Downward Dog. We'll stay here for 2 breaths. So drawing your hips up towards the sky, your heels towards the earth, let your neck relax. Take a full deep breath in and let the air go through your mouth. And let's do that one more time. So deep, full breath in, and then let it go. Now look to your hands. Walk your feet up to your hands to come to halfway lift. Hinge and forward fold, and then press into the ground to rise up. Bring your hands to your heart and down to your sides. So from here, we're going to step our left foot back, ground your left foot into the earth. So coming into Warrior One position this time. So finding your foot placement first. And then when you're ready, bring your arms up to the sky. And if it's accessible to you, you could come into that Charlie's Angels finger hold. And notice if your shoulders have drawn up towards your ears. See if you can let your shoulders release. So feeling an upward pull in your arms, but letting your shoulders draw down and back. So drawing attention once again to your breath and settling in, feeling the heat. Finding stillness in your body and stillness in your mind. Settling in. So now bring your hands to your heart. Stand on the tippy toe of your back leg. And we're going to press into a warrior 3 position. So really challenging this right leg. So when you're ready, press off your back foot and come to standing just for a brief moment and then pivot to come into warrior 3. So you can flex your left foot behind you. Your spine will be straight and strong. You can stay with your hands at your heart, or you could bring your hands out to your side or out, reaching out in front of you. Sometimes there's a tendency to open up to the left. So see if you can center your pelvis. So bring your pelvis so that it's parallel to the ground. So feeling the wobbling and the shaking on your standing leg. Coming back to your breath. And then come to standing. And we'll just take a freedom breath. Give your right leg a little bit of a break. Reaching up. Bring your hands to your heart and down to your sides. Are you ready for the other side? This time step your right foot back. Plant your right foot into the earth. Coming into warrior 1 on the opposite side. So you might need to wiggle around to find a foot placement that feels good for you. Bring your arms up. Let's do it a little bit differently this time. So bring your palms out and then bring your arms up. So draw your shoulders down first and then reach your fingers up towards the sky. And then if it feels okay, you could clasp your hands together at the top in your Charlie's Angels pose. And we'll just settle in. Bringing your attention to your breath. Finding comfort and ease in your pose. Bring your hands to your heart. Stand on the tippy toe of your back foot and then press yourself up into warrior 3. You can keep your hands towards your heart. You could bring your arms out to the side or stretching forward, reaching, flexing your back foot. Feeling the shaking in your standing legs. Thinking about all the good work that you're doing for your balance. Building heat and energy. And we'll stay here for another breath. And then come to standing. Plant both feet into the earth. Take a deep, full breath. And then exhale with your hands to your heart and down to your sides. So we'll come into a wide leg position. Bring your arms up and we're going to forward fold. So hinging at your hips, you can tense your fingers. Find a foot placement that works for you. You might need to rearrange your feet a little bit. And then once you've arrived, let your neck completely relax. So feeling the stretch in the back of your legs, but feeling release in your neck. And we'll take a couple breaths here. Now, walk your hands over to the left. Step your left foot back. Come into plank pose. So drawing your heels back, centering your shoulders above your hands, drawing your navel to spine. So what we're going to do is we're going to come into side plank. So place your left hand right underneath your face and open your right hand up to the sky. If this doesn't work for you, you can put your left knee on the ground. That takes a little bit of a pressure off your left wrist, a little bit more stability. So find the position that works for you. And then bring your right hand down. Come into downward dog. Now we're going to walk our hands over to the left and come into a wide forward fold from the opposite side. From here, it might feel good to pivot from side to side. So walking your hands from one foot to the other, or you could remain in stillness. So find what your body needs right now in this space, in this time. Now walk your hands to the left. Step your left foot back this time. And we're going to come first to plank. So we'll hold plank for a breath. Draw your heels back. And then place your left hand on right underneath you. And then bring your right arm up to the sky. Wait, did we do this already? I think I'm backwards. Okay, so if we did that side already, let's bring left hand up. Many apologies. Confession, sometimes I get left and right mixed up. And then come back to plank. Press yourself up into downward dog. Walk your feet up to your hands and come to halfway lift. Hinge and fold. And then press into the earth to rise up. Bring your hands to your heart and down to your sides. So I got all discombobulated there. So I'm going to reposition myself so I don't goof up anymore. So press your feet into the earth, rise up, hinge and fold, and then tense your fingers. We're going to step back first into plank and then lower all the way to belly. Rest your forehead on the mat. So now we're going to come into a locust pose. So bring your arms alongside your body. You could have your palms facing up or down, so you can play with that hand placement. We'll do 2 rounds, so you might want to try one with your palms up and the other down. So to start, when you're ready to take a breath in, bring your chest, legs, and arms up to the sky. And we're going to stay here for a couple breaths. And then lower down. Rest your forehead on the mat. You could use your
hands to rest your forehead on the top of your hands. And just take a breath here. Now bring your arms along your sides. And when you're ready to take a breath in, bring your chest and legs and arms up. And pay attention to your breath. Notice the sensation of your belly pressing into the earth. And then lower down, rest your forehead on your hands. Now bring your hands alongside your chest. Press up into all fours and then sink back into child's pose. Press into all fours and then come to a seated position. So bring your feet out into a V, bring your arms up, and then we're going to twist to the left. So sitting up tall, one arm front, one arm back, paying attention to your breath. Now bring your arms up to the sky and we'll move right to the other side. So the opposite arm front and back. And you might feel that as you're breathing in this pose, maybe you can twist a little bit further as you exhale, but don't force it. And then when you're ready, come to center. Bring your arms up to the sky and then down to your heart. Bring your feet together. Take a deep breath in and then just hinge and fold over your legs. Your toes could be pointed at the ceiling, so flexing, or you could point your toes forward and you'll notice that impacts how far you can fold. So find what your body needs right now. Notice if you're holding tension and see if you can let go of just a tiny bit of that tension. And this stretch is so good because it stretches the fascia or the outer covering of your muscles. And I think it's so interesting because when I stretch like this and flex my feet so my toes are pointed up to the sky, I can feel that stretch all the way up my back, even up to my neck. So just a reminder of how connected everything in our bodies is. Grammar fail. All right, come up to a seated position and then you can swing your legs around and we'll do one more pose to really bring a little bit of heat into our bellies, coming into boat pose. So bring your feet on the mat, find evenness on both of your sitting bones. And then you can start by placing your hands by your seat, bring your feet off the floor. Your shins can be parallel to the floor. You could stay here or bring your arms up. So really tightening in your belly to spine.
maybe even bringing your feet up. So we'll just stay here for 3, 2, and 1. Give yourself a hug sitting up. Wrap your arms around your shins, maybe bringing your forehead to your knees. And then you can come onto your back. So just slowly lower yourself down. And then from here, you can have your feet off the ground, and we're just going to roll from side to side, just gentle rolls. Now draw yourself up into a tiny ball, maybe bringing your forehead once again to your knees. And then come to a full body stretch. So stretching arms one direction, legs the other. And then when you're ready, you can come into your final resting position. That could be Shavasana with your arms out to your side, your palms up, your legs slightly wider. If this position doesn't work for you, simply find a position where you can come to stillness. So as you're settling in, bring awareness to your breath. And use your breath to help yourself come into stillness. So stillness in your body, but also stillness in your mind. Just focusing on your inhales and your exhales. And allow your breath to help you to come into relaxation. So use your breath to breathe in relaxation and exhale tension. Send your gentle breath down to your legs, letting go of tension, letting your legs sink into your mat. Let your gentle breath come up your torso into your back, and use that breath to sweep away any tension, bringing in relaxation. Feel yourself settling in, sinking in. Let your arms completely relax. Send your gentle breath down to release tension and sweep in relaxation. Let your neck relax. Notice your face, if you're holding any tension, in your jaw or your tongue, the space between your eyes. And just feel the tension melting away. Bring your attention to the area of your belly and imagine that there's a golden light swirling around. As you breathe in more golden sunlight that adds to the light in your belly. And as you continue to breathe in this golden sunlight, feel the energy coursing through your body. This yellow light softens your need to control. You are comfortable in your power. You know that you can tap into this power anytime. If you are ever stuck, this power is always available to you. Bring your attention back to your belly as the yellow light slowly starts to recede. Soon it's as small as a tiny dot. Know that you have the power to awaken this energy whenever you need it. Now come back to the gentle flow of your breath, breathing in relaxation, exhaling tension. There's nothing left for you to do. Now is your time to simply be. Begin to notice your breath. So begin to breathe in more oxygen and energy, and feel that energy bringing movement to your fingers and your toes, coming awake, coming back to this space and this time. Take a couple more breaths, bringing in more energy, maybe feeling some motion in your arms and your legs. And then when you're ready, roll onto your right side, using your right arm as a little pillow, perhaps drawing your knees up towards your chest into a fetal position. And take a moment here to thank yourself for practicing today, taking the time for self-care. And then when you're ready, you can press yourself up to a seated position. And when you arrive, draw your hands to your heart. And we'll take one last breath as a class together. So take a full deep inhale and let the air go. Thank you so much for practicing with me today. Namaste.